Hey friends, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to talk about Legendborn. I loved this series so much. I didn't expect to love it so much, and I want to reread it again so badly, but I'm like, I need to read something new, but I'm like, no, go back to this, and I'm gonna have to reread it because I need to make some more videos about it. But we're gonna get into the first book. First, I'll give you guys an overview of what the book is about, and then I wrote down my thoughts while I was reading the first book, so I'm gonna read them to you guys. So if you've read the book, we can talk about it together in the comments. It's gonna be so fun. Here is the description on the back. It's kind of lengthy. Whew, okay, let's go. Some legacies are meant to be broken. After her mother dies in an accident, 16-year-old Bree Matthews wants nothing to do with her family memories or childhood home. A residential program for bright high schoolers at UNC Chapel Hill seems like the perfect escape until Bree witnesses a magical attack her very first night on campus. A flying demon feeding on human energies, a secret society of so-called Legendborn students that hunt the creatures down, and a mysterious teenage mage who calls himself a Merlin and who attempts and fails to wipe Bree's memory of everything she saw. The mage's failure reveals Bree's own unique magic and a buried memory with a hidden connection. The night her mother died, another Merlin was at the hospital. Now that Bree knows there's more to her mother's death than what's in the police report, she'll do whatever it takes to find out the truth, even if that means infiltrating the Legendborn as one of their initiates. She recruits Nick, a self-exiled Legendborn with his own grudge against the group, and their reluctant partnership pulls them deeper into the society's secrets and closer to each other. But when the Legendborn reveal themselves as the descendants of King Arthur's knights and explain that a magical war is coming, Bree has to decide how far she'll go for the truth and whether she should use her magic to take down the society or join the fight. So good. I'm gonna say it right now. I love Cell. I loved him from the first scene, and I went back and reread the first scene, and I was like, how did I not realize how cute this was? And I read my notes, and I was like, no, I think you clocked it, Nia. I think you clocked it. I don't hate Nick. He's just not my guy. Now, as the books go on, I'm like, I see the appeal, but Cell is my guy. I'm sorry. Okay, so many thoughts. Oh my gosh, literally. Look at this. I added memes too. Memes and emojis. Okay. I said, is Cell going to be the love interest because the guy on the cover of the third book doesn't look like Nick's description? Who's the guy on the cover? I stay getting the second and third book mixed up. The second book. The guy on the cover of the second book doesn't look like Nick's description because that's not Nick. It's Cell! So that's why I was like, who's the love interest? Because I thought it was going to be Nick. But that guy doesn't look like Nick. Speaking of not looking like, we're gonna have to get into this third book. But in my mind, Cell is black, so that made things very confusing as this series went on for me. And it was completely my fault because that boy is not black. That is a white boy. My changing the character in my head made things a lot more confusing. And I feel stupid for that. And next I said, everything was going slowly. And then she took the oath, and then it didn't work. And then she found out Nick is the heir of King Arthur. And then that girl got possessed. And then a bloodhound came. And then she got held ransom by a demon. It just kept going and going and going. I was like, this book started so slow. I thought I was going to hate it. And then it just hit nonstop. I said, slow down. I'm sorry it's complaining this whole time, but slow down. Then I said, Nick seems like a simp to me. No, I won't give spoilers for the series, but we'll talk about that later. I gotta note that. I'm gonna have to note that when I come back and edit this. I gotta put that note somewhere. Then I said, I read too many romantices because I would not be taking Cell's threats seriously. I also wouldn't be calling him by his nickname. That is what I will never understand from books. People are just like, well, he goes by his nickname, so I'm gonna call him his nickname. We're not friends. I'm not calling you your nickname, especially if you're rude to me. Your name is Selwyn. And if I really hate you, Selwyn Kane. If I really, really hate you, I'm gonna do some digging to figure out your middle name, and I'm gonna call you by your full government name. I'm not calling you Cell. After you tried to call me a demon, not try to call me a demon, you did call me a demon. We are not on a nickname basis. My name is Brianna. You will refer to me as Brianna, and I will refer to you as Selwyn Kane. No, I never understand that. We're not friends. No. Next, I said, I thought those flames on her skin in the shower was the oath coming in late, but I guess not. This is why I said I need to reread. Tracy is good at writing awkward moments because I was getting secondhand embarrassment when Nick and Bree were in his room. I need to find that scene. Oh my gosh. Oh, Nick giving her that necklace, that damn necklace. I'm just tired of Nick. I'm just briefly rereading as I'm trying to find this part, and I'm like, oh, I'm sick of you. Okay, nothing crazy happened in the scene. It was just the first time that Bree ever went to Nick's room, so it's like, of course it's awkward. They're like teens, and it's the first time going into the guy you like's room, but I don't think they really confirm that they like each other, but it's pretty obvious they like each other. And so it's just like, I'm in your room. You're in your room with me. And it's just awkward. I was gonna say it makes me feel like my teenage years again, but I wasn't doing that stuff. I wasn't in boys' rooms when I was a teenager, so it brought back memories, but not from when I was 16. That scene where the guy says the racist thing at dinner was so crazy, but of course Cell was watching and eavesdropping, and then I did the tongue out emoji and the smirking emoji. But later that pissed me off because I was like, if you have the potential to be a love interest, then you need to be defending me. You might hate me, but you can still say, hey, don't say something racist. And he didn't say that. No, that made me really not like him. I was gonna say hate, but maybe it wasn't hate, but I just really didn't like him. And then I said, Nick, I was not familiar with your game. Then I'll put the emoji that I used. He's very straightforward with what he wants, and I appreciate that. This was for the scene when he takes her to the forest blindfolded and kissed her hands. Yeah, I read that scene twice. I don't know why I read it the second time. I guess because it was cute. Like, I'm not even rooting for Nick. And I'm like, damn, that was cute. I can't lie to you. I can't lie to you, Nick. You did your thing. It was cute. I don't like it, but you did it. And then I said, of course Cell was there in the woods watching. This reaction was me. Then it was the SpongeBob meme, because Cell is always there watching and listening. Always. You can just put it in the back of your mind. If you think you're having a private moment and your name is Brianna Matthews, you're not having a private moment. Cell is right there watching the entire time. And then I said, not Cell calling Brie a demon. I'm gonna remember that. And yeah, it's been like over a month since I read this series, and I still haven't forgotten that. That was still disrespectful. I literally talked about it on my Instagram story. I was like, how are you gonna call me a demon and possibly be the MMC? I can't forget that. Then I said, I was wondering why Nick let Brie in so easily. The mom backstory makes sense. Yeah, that story is sad. Especially when the truth's revealed, it was literally all for nothing. What? That woman's memories for nothing. Not even the crown Scion. I don't know how you say it. He's not even a descendant of Arthur. I shouldn't be laughing. That's not funny. It was just all for nothing. That's actually really sad. I said, I was not expecting Cell to help Brie train. He really liked her. Liked her, he did. Oh, I love him. I loved them. I was not expecting Patricia to give up on Brie. The other girl was way too straightforward. She probably could have helped, but needed more training on how to talk to people grieving. Yeah, Mariah, I was like, this girl obviously is not a trained therapist. She just jumped into everything. And I was like, this is not the way to get a 16-year-old girl who is grieving her mother who just passed away to open up. This is not the way at all. That whole thing was a mess. And I said, I didn't expect Brie to win 2 rounds in the last trial. Even when I reread that, I was like, what happened again? Oh, okay. I said, Cell is so rude and so moody. So rude when Brie went to find him. Yeah, still accurate. Oh, the Twilight running reference was everything. It took me a minute to catch it. So this was when Nick's gone and Cell needs to carry Brie somewhere. Okay, I found the scene. Oh, I love Twilight. Twilight was my first ever romantasy and fantasy. Yeah, this is when they already jump out the window and he's like, how would you like me to carry you? What would please you, Paige Matthews? And she says, piggyback. And he says, excuse me? She says, you heard me. Like that movie. Shut up. Churlish, arrogant. Ugh, I love their banter. Then he swoops in, turning and pulling my uninjured arm at the same time until I'm draped piggyback like I asked. And then she like cuts off his mouth so he can't breathe. And he's like, I do need to breathe. I'm not actually a vampire. And I was like, oh, that movie. Okay. All I could think was, hold on tight, spider monkey. He's so cute. This thing is so cute. They're so cute. Oh, I love them. And I said, if Brie and Cell don't come back before Nick, it's gonna be a mess. And I'm living for it. And it was an absolute mess when Nick came back. It was so good. I reread that scene like a week or 2 ago and I was like, it still hits. Brie running into Nick at the door was perfect. I think blocking everyone was extreme, but I'm glad she went to the ball. And with that ball, you know what I always think about? That dress that she borrowed and how it got destroyed. If it was me, I'd be like, so you're gonna pay me back for my dress? And what happens if the dress is out of stock and discontinued? Now I never get that dress again. Nobody was thinking about the dress, and I guess that's where my priorities are. I said I kind of expected the king and or his king's mage to be evil, but I didn't know enough about their motives, so I didn't think much of that theory. Now that Arthur won't pick Mr. Davis, it seems pointless. Yeah, I remember literally thinking about it for a second. I'm like, maybe it's one of them, but it was just like, well, I don't know enough about them to know if one of them was like starting all this stuff. I don't know. So I do want to reread to see if there was like more clues that I missed. I said, you'd think a royal line would have a better last name than Davis. I know last names change over time and stuff, but Davis? Yeah, that's boring. I think my last name is more interesting than Davis. Okay, I do not know how to say this word because I haven't listened to the audiobooks in a while. I said, I thought someone was going to be a Garuchel, but I didn't think it would be Evan. That's another one I want to go back and read because I didn't clock anything with Evan. Even with the few scenes I've reread, I still didn't notice anything. I'm patiently waiting for the next cell scene. I'm still patiently waiting for the next cell scene. Now that I know he's half demon, the demon comment isn't as offensive. Yeah, I'm like, well, and when you called me a demon when I thought you were human, that was really rude because you're literally saying I came from the devil's lair, hell, HE double hockey sticks, but you're half demon, so the insult doesn't really hit that much. Okay, I said Morgaine is Evan / Roz's mistress, question mark. Maybe one of you guys can explain that. I don't remember what I was talking about. Oh, I do kind of remember he did talk about that when he revealed who he was, and I was like, what's going on here? And I said, I am shocked, all caps, at the family backstory. When Breed took Excalibur, I had to read part of it again because I was like, did I read that right? What? And then I read it again. Now it's like, oh, that was crazy. Best plot twist of the century. And I said, wait, does that mean Bree and Nick are related? For some reason in my mind, I thought that Arthur and Lancelot were cousins. I had it in my mind literally until like the third book. And I was like, does nobody think this is gross? I don't care how much time has passed. They're not cousins. I don't know why I thought that. Didn't expect for Nick to be the Lancelot heir. Wasn't expecting that at all. But I love it though. And then my last note. This was from Cell's point of view, which I loved so much. I was gonna say a spoiler, but I'm gonna be quiet. Well, a spoiler for another book. Okay, this is what Cell said in his point of view chapter. He said, I think the meeting was in code when he was listening to Patricia and Bree talk. I said, bozo. I said, please, Selwyn, men are idiots because they are. Because what? We are having a therapy session. I think the meeting was in code. No, you're just stupid. He's so funny. His point of view is so funny. I love when we get the chance to read it. Oh, I loved this book. I gotta get into my notes for the second and third books. It might take a minute because I really don't think I took notes for the second book for some reason. I think it's because I loved it so much. The second book is my favorite in the whole series. It's so good. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys know when the next book is dropping or how many books there's supposed to be and other bonus chapters I might not know about because I've been scouring the internet for them. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.